I opened my phone like any other morning, coffee in hand, sleepy eyes scanning notifications. And then, I froze. Is this my diary? I whispered, my voice trembling. I stared at the screen. Every page, every word I had ever scribbled in secret, my thoughts, my fears, the stupid things I'd written late at night, posted online, public, tagged. My face stared back at me through a photo of my diary, and there she was, Aisha, my sister-in-law, smiling like she'd just won a trophy. I dropped the coffee. It shattered, but I barely noticed. My heart raced, pounding against my ribs. My hands shook. I tapped her profile. Why would you do this? I muttered, reading the captions, each word a jagged knife. She commented, thought everyone should know how dramatic you really are. Hash. Sorry, not sorry. I felt sick. My throat tightened. Aisha, come on, my voice cracked. Rashid, my brother, poked his head in. What's Sep's wrong? I could barely look at him. It's Stitz, your sister. She posted my diary. Rashid Sep's eyes went wide. Wait, seriously? That's Sep's wow. Wow? I shouted. Wow? She exposed everything I ever wrote, my nightmares, my stupid little secrets, she made them public. Rashid hesitated. I don't know what to say. I wanted to scream. I wanted to disappear. My hands clutched the phone. I scrolled. Comments. Likes. Shares. People I barely knew laughing. People I trusted, judging. My chest burned. I ran upstairs, slammed my door, sat on the bed. My diary, the real one, sat untouched on the nightstand. I picked it up, flipping through pages I'd poured my soul into, and then I imagined her, smiling at family gatherings, watching me squirm, knowing exactly what she had done. My hands curled into fists. She knew. I whispered to the empty room. She knew this would hurt me the most. I sank back against the wall, tears stinging. How could someone so close? Memories flashed. Every family gathering. Every dinner where she laughed just a little too loudly at my awkward jokes. Every time she leaned over with that fake smile and whispered something I trusted her with. All of it suddenly felt like a lie. I gritted my teeth. This isn't such just mischief, I said aloud, voice low, trembling with rage. This is calculated. I slammed my diary shut, the lock of the page tearing in my mind. My chest ached, but underneath the hurt, something else flickered, not fear, not shame, fire. I will not stay a victim, I said, whispered, but fierce. Not now, not ever. I thought about her, smug and satisfied, unaware that the storm she'd started was only just beginning. My brain raced, heart thundering, ideas, plans, subtle, careful, slow, justice. Rashid knocked softly. You okay? I took a deep breath. No, but I will be. I just need a moment. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. Eyes red, hair messy, face pale. But beneath it, I could feel it. Strength, quiet, dangerous strength. She thinks she can break me, I murmured. She has no idea who she's dealing with. I picked up my diary again, holding it close. It wasn't just pages, it was my voice, my truth, and now, it was fuel. I opened a blank page, pen in hand, heart hammering. My first line, she thinks she won. She hasn't seen my side yet. I smiled faintly through tears. Rage had never felt this alive. The world outside my door buzzed, unaware, but inside a plan began to form. A slow, steady pulse of revenge, buried beneath heartbreak and betrayal. And I knew one thing with absolute certainty, Aisha would regret this. Because I never forgot. I can't even scroll through my phone without cringing. Notifications keep blowing up. Messages from friends, family, strangers, all of them staring at me through words I never wanted anyone to see. Hey, saw your diary online, reads one. Another, wow, didn't know you were like this. I press the screen against my forehead. My chest feels tight, like every breath is a lie. Mom knocks gently on my door. Honey, are you okay? I force a shaky laugh. I stum fine, Mom. You don't sound fine, she says softly. Her hands clutch mine, warm but trembling. It steps just, people will forget. You still get through this. I pull my hands back. Forget? I spit the word. Mom, everyone I know has read it. Everyone. My stupid thoughts. My fears, everything. Mom bites her lip, glances away. I know it stits humiliating, but maybe it stits temporary. Temporary? My entire life is laid bare. Temporary. I shake my head. You don't get it. It seps not just embarrassment, it seps control. Aisha, she wants to prove she can hurt me, and she did. Mom sighs, her eyes full of sorrow. I hate that you sups are hurt, but you sups are stronger than you know. Stronger? I scoff. I feel frozen. Numb. I can stet even eat, can stet sleep. Every time I blink, I see her smug face, laughing at me silently. Every glance she throws at me at family dinners, like she steps savoring the pain she caused. It steps a knife twisting in my chest. Sweetheart. Mom's voice trembles. She tries to hold me, but I step back. I can't, I can't be comforted right now, I whisper. The next day, I try texting friends, testing the waters. Hey, did you see? I type in erase. A message pops up. Yeah, saw it. Crazy. Lol. Lol. Laughing at my pain. My stomach twists. My hands shake as I scroll. Some friends avoid me completely. Others ask questions that feel like accusations. Why did you write that? I slam my phone down. My diary wasn't meant for them. It wasn't meant for anyone. I hide under my blanket for hours, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. I replay the betrayal, every page I wrote in secrecy, every confession, every dream, weaponized against me. Alicia walks by the house later, just her presence, the smug smile, the perfect hair, the faint perfume I used to like on her, and suddenly I feel violated all over again. She waves at me. Hey, how are you? Saw you online. I force a smile, my teeth hurt from clenching. I said I'm fine. Her laugh is light, careless. Good, just thought you should know. People loved it, so relatable. I want to scream. I want to throw something. I want to vanish. Instead, I swallow hard, bite my lip until it bleeds slightly, and nod. I retreat to my room, phone in hand, diary closed on the desk. Silence presses in, heavy, suffocating. I realize this isn't just a prank, it's a war. My trust shattered, my privacy stolen, and I feel powerless. I can't even talk to Rashid. He's caught between me and a she. He doesn't know how to fix this, doesn't know how to shield me from humiliation, and I can't blame him. It's not his fault. I sit at my desk. The sunlight fades into evening. Shadows stretch across my floor. I feel small, exposed, vulnerable, and then anger seeps in. Quiet, heavy, dangerous anger. This isn't set just about embarrassment, I whisper. It's sets about control, trust, and she took it from me. I pick up the diary, flip through pages with trembling fingers, notes I wrote when no one could see, thoughts I never dared say aloud, and I think about Ayasha laughing, her fingers scrolling through my life, savoring every detail. I bite my nails, pace, rage building, hot in my veins. But beneath it, something else, a spark, a plan forming, slow but steady. I can't undo the humiliation. I can't erase the betrayal. But I can respond. I can reclaim control. I close my eyes. Breath in, breath out. She thinks she's Sep's one, I murmur. She hasn't seen my side yet. She doesn't know me. The days drag on. Family gatherings are unbearable. Every smile she flashes at me feels like a gauntlet thrown. I endure. I smile when I have to. Nod. Laugh politely. But inside, a storm brews. Friends avoid me, laugh at me in secret. Family whispers. Mom tries to shield me, but there's no protection from betrayal this close to home. Every glance from Ayesha, every casual comment, every social media notification, it stings. And yet, in the quietest moments, alone in my room, I begin to see it, not weakness, not shame, but opportunity. This is my life, my voice, my diary, my secrets, my trust, stolen, and I can either stay a victim, or I can rise. I touch the closed diary, fingers trembling, heart pounding, rage and grief twisting into clarity. I will not let this define me, I whisper to the empty room. I will not let her win. I can't stop thinking about her. Ayesha, that smug smile. The way she held my words like weapons. The way she made me feel small, powerless. At first, I cried. I screamed. I hid. Now, something's different. My grief has hardened into something else. Cold, sharp, calculated. I mutter to myself, pacing the room. She thinks she's Sep's untouchable. Rashid drops by unexpectedly. Hey, you okay? You okay, Yusuf bin? I sept him fine. I cut him off. My voice is calm, but inside I sept him boiling. Really? He hesitates, frowning. Yusuf been different lately. After after she posted my diary? I raise an eyebrow. Yeah, I sept him processing. Processing? Rashid laughs nervously. You mean plotting, maybe? I freeze, then glare. Maybe, why not? He shrugs. I mean, she Sep's your sister-in-law. Don Sep's that get me wrong. She crossed a line. But careful, okay? I nod, eyes narrowing. Careful is exactly what I intend to be. Rashid shifts uncomfortably. She sips tricky, smart, hard to read. I bite my lip thinking, every family gathering, every casual conversation, every small brag, there's a pattern, habits, weaknesses, secrets, and she doesn't even know I'm noticing. Tell me more, I say, leaning forward. My eyes lock on his. Anything she sups ever let slip, even small stuff. Details she thinks no one remembers. He glances at me, hesitant. Well, she sometimes talks about that project she Sep's been hiding at work. And she Sep's super self-conscious about how she looks in photos. But she masks it. You Sep's never know. I nod slowly. Good. Keep talking. He continues, oblivious to how dangerous I feel right now. She told me once she's scared of people finding out she doesn't actually like cooking. Always brags at dinners, but she hates it. I smile faintly. A detail. Tiny. But pieces make a puzzle. Ayesha's armor has cracks, and I'm going to find them all. Later I sit at my desk, notebook open, pen poised, my diary nearby. I start jotting down everything, every word, every secret she's ever whispered or accidentally let slip, every family quirk, every friend who might share gossip. I mutter aloud, she thought she could humiliate me. She hasn't seen my side yet. My pen scratches across the page like a weapon carving paths. I plan carefully. No rash moves. No obvious threats. Subtle, precise, every step mapped. I whisper to myself, pacing again. She'll regret thinking she Sup's untouchable, slowly, quietly, but, definitely. I rehearse conversations in my mind. Hey, did you hear about? No, too blunt. Funny. I heard someone, oh, never mind. Better. Let curiosity eat at her. Rashid texts me later. Lunch tomorrow? Want to catch up? I pause. My mind spins with ideas. I can let her see me shaken. I nod silently. Sure. Lunch becomes my reconnaissance mission. I ask Rashid casually about Aisha. Every casual detail he gives me, I note mentally. The project at work. Her fear of photos. Her little insecurities. The things she thinks are invisible. By the time I leave the cafe, my mental notebook is full. Every weakness, every crack, every tiny weapon I can use. Back home, I sit with my diary, but this time it's not the one she posted. It's mine, and it's mine to use differently. To think, to strategize. Every page I turn fuels the plan. Every memory of betrayal sharpens my focus. I whisper, she thinks she won, but Isef got this. Every word, every smile, every trust she betrayed. Isef turning it into my own power. I sleep fitfully, dreams full of her shocked face, whispers her own words coming back to haunt her. I wake up, heart racing. My purpose is clear. Revenge isn't about anger anymore. It's about control, about reclaiming my dignity, about making her feel the same helplessness she gave me. Rashid calls me later. Hey, just wondering, you okay? You sound intense. I laugh softly, darkly. I am more than okay. I am focused. You still see. He hesitates. Just don't go too far. Okay. I hang up and stare at the ceiling. Too far? No. Just right. Exactly right. I close my eyes. Aisha's laugh, her smug confidence fills the room. I breathe in, slowly, steadily, cold fire in my chest. Every betrayal, Every humiliation, every sleepless night, it all feeds me. By the end of the night, I know one thing: this isn't about retaliation yet. Not fully, this is about preparation. Observation, strategy, patience. And I sep patient, because she has no idea what sep's coming. She thinks she humiliated me. She hasn't even begun to see the storm. I realized revenge doesn't have to be loud. Not yet, not when subtlety can cut deeper. I started small. Tiny hints, almost invisible. A glance here, a question there. Nothing that screamed retaliation, just enough to make her wonder if I knew more than I let on. At lunch I sat across from Sarah and Lena, friends we shared. Hey, I said casually, have you noticed Ayesha sips really careful about who she tells things to? Sarah shrugged. Yeah? She sips private, I guess. I leaned in, whispering as if sharing a secret. I sep heard she sits terrified someone would find out she hates cooking. Can you imagine? Lena laughed softly. Really? She acts like a chef every dinner. I never knew. Exactly, I murmured, smiling faintly. My chest tightened, a thrill I didn't expect. Small, quiet satisfaction. Later at the family gathering, I watched her. She caught my gaze across the room. The smile faltered, just for a second. She blinked rapidly like she wasn't sure what I knew. That tiny shift made my heart pound. Rashid walked past. I asked casually, you ever notice she brags a lot about her work projects? Yeah, he said, scratching his head. She likes to make it sound more impressive than it is. Interesting, I said softly, voice low. Funny how people think no one notices. I could feel Ayesha's eyes on me. She tilted her head, pretending interest, but her lips twitched, little cracks forming. I watched, fascinated. At the cafe later, I sat with friends again. I dropped hints about things she'd mentioned in passing, framing them as gossip, as curiosity. Did you know she pretends she loves every photo someone takes of her? I asked casually, smiling. Wait, really? Lena said. She always looks perfect. I shrugged. Some people are good at hiding things. I could practically see Ayesha's panic grow in my mind. She thought she was untouchable. Still thought I was broken. Still thought she'd won. And that misconception? That sips my weapon. I manipulated conversations with precision. I teased small truths out of friends who didn't even know they were confessing. Remember when she told us she hates public speaking? I whispered to Sarah, but she still pretends she's sex confident. Sarah nodded, eyes wide. Yeah, I never knew that. She seems so polished. Exactly, I said. I smiled. No one knew this was part of a larger game. Every confession fed the plan. Every shared secret tightened my control. Sometimes I paused and looked at myself in the mirror. Am I cruel? I whispered. My voice sounded foreign, accusatory. But then the thought hit me. She betrayed me, exposed my soul for laughter, stole my privacy, and this is nothing, just quiet, poetic justice. I started keeping a mental map. Who knew what she feared, what she boasted about, what she hid. Every small fragment added to the mosaic of her vulnerabilities. Family gatherings became my stage. Ayesha would casually mention something, thinking it was safe. I'd nod, smile, ask a question that seemed innocent. A slip here, a pause there, a friend would repeat a word she let fall accidentally. And I'd watch her tighten, blink, hesitate. It was intoxicating. Silent power, quiet satisfaction. She had humiliated me in public, and now, without her knowing, I was reclaiming control. One evening, Rashid caught me smirking. You step got that look, he said, eyebrows raised. The one where you step plotting something. I laughed lightly. Maybe, maybe not, just thinking. Careful, he said, voice low. She seps smart. Exactly, I said. My smile widened, which is why she felt never see it coming. Even friends started noticing the subtle tension. You seem different, Sarah said one day. Stronger, somehow, calm, even when she steps around. I shrugged. Just learning to let go and pay attention. Ayesha never knew. She went about her days, pretending she had control, pretending she still held the power. Unaware that each tiny whisper, each casual comment, each strategic question I planted chipped away at her armor. I felt guilty sometimes. Morally, it was messy, petty, cruel, maybe. But the fire inside me justified every silent step. She won't sit laugh at me anymore, I whispered to the empty room. Not without paying the price. Every glance she shot my way, every little smirk, only fueled me further. I watched the cracks widen, the nervous hesitation, the fear beneath her perfect posture. This is a game of patience, I reminded myself, slow, steady, observant, quiet, and the more she underestimated me, the deeper I sank my roots. By the end of the week, I felt different, powerful, silent, unshakable. The betrayal still burned, but it had transformed into something I could control, something I could wield. Aisha believed she had won, and the illusion of my weakness, that was my weapon. I smiled faintly, pen scratching in my notebook. Another hint planted, another move made. One day she'd realize, and when she did, I'd be ready. I didn't notice it at first. The subtle tension, the way friends flinched when Aisha walked in, the quiet whispers after I left a room. Sarah caught me staring one evening, eyes sharp. "You know you're changing, right?" she said, voice low, almost a whisper. I laughed, but it came out hollow. Changing? Maybe. Surviving? Maybe. I don't set no. You stir not surviving. You stir becoming. She trailed off, searching for the word. Someone you used to hate. I froze. My chest tightened. What do you mean? You know, she said, voice dropping. Manipulative, strategic. You subherding people, pulling them into your games. Look at how tense everyone stood's been around you lately. Even your mom notices. I looked away. Heat rose to my cheeks. I stem not. I stem not hurting anyone. I stem not trying to fix what she did, reclaim what stems mine. Sarah shook her head. Reclaim, or punish. I flinched. The line between justice and vengeance had blurred. I had convinced myself this was righteous, but Sarah's words hit like cold water. I can stop, I admitted quietly, almost to myself. Every time she smiles like she owns everything, like she humiliated me, I feel it again. The diary, my trust, everything. I can just sit back. Sarah sighed. I get it. I do. But, at what cost? I rubbed my temples. Every friend I'd drawn into subtle manipulations, every slip of Ayesha's secrets I had teased out of conversations. I had thought it was harmless, invisible, but the unease in their eyes told me otherwise. She hurt you, Sarah said softly. But revenge, it can change you too. Donstedt let it eat you. I swallowed hard. I'm not her, I said, but even I doubted it. Later I found Mom in the kitchen. She was chopping vegetables, quiet. I leaned against the doorway, watching her movements. Honey, she said without looking up. I know things have been tense. I see how focused you are on getting even. But Donstedt forget, life isn't set only about winning. I shook my head. Mom, you don't get it. She betrayed me. She humiliated me, and everyone saw it. I have to respond. Mom set down the knife. I know, darling. I know, but I worry. Sometimes your fire burns too close to yourself. Revenge can hurt you more than her. I felt a lump in my throat. I wanted to argue, to defend myself. But deep down, I knew she was right. That night, I sat with my diary in front of me, the pages glowing under my lamp. I reread my words, the secrets I had poured onto those pages, my fears, my doubts, my dreams, and I thought of her. The one who made those pages public, and of me, hunting, plotting, manipulating. Was I becoming the very person I hated? I shook my head. No, I stemmed not her. I stemmed surviving. I stemmed reclaiming control. My control. Still, the weight of my actions pressed down. Sarah's warning, Mom's gentle caution, they haunted me. I opened a fresh notebook and began writing. Not plans this time. Reflections. Confessions. My guilt, my anger, my fear, every sentence untangled the knot in my chest. I can stop, I wrote. But I can remember who I am, I can remember why I fight. It steps not just about making her pay, it steps about taking my life back. My dignity, my voice. I paused. The pen hovered above the page. I realized something crucial. Revenge was intoxicating. Yes, but it was also my way of reclaiming power. I thought I had lost. My diary had been stolen from me. My trust violated. And in my careful, quiet manipulation, I was rebuilding what she had destroyed. The next day, Sarah met me for coffee. "You okay?" she asked, eyes searching. "I am," I said. "I just needed to see the bigger picture. What I sat doing isn't just spite. It's survival, control, my way of standing up again." Sarah nodded slowly. "I hope you don't lose yourself in the process. That's all I am saying." "I won't," I promised. But a flicker of doubt remained. I knew the line between justice and obsession was thinner than I wanted to admit. Still, every glance from Ayesha, every slip of a secret she thought safe, reminded me why I couldn't stop. She thought she humiliated me. She thought she had the power, but I was regaining it, quietly, carefully. And I would see it through. That night, alone in my room, I wrote again. My diary open, my notebook beside it, thoughts racing, strategy forming in tandem with reflection. Every action had consequences, not just for her, but for me, and I would weigh them all, carefully, consciously, until the final confrontation. Because I knew the satisfaction of the end would be greater for having survived the moral weight. I closed my eyes, whispered to the darkness. "I once lose myself. I shall be better, smarter, stronger." And she shall see it all, eventually. Every truth, every secret, every move she never expected me to make. The fire inside me burned, tempered now with awareness. Guilt lingered, but it was part of the process. Emotional collateral, pain on both sides, shaping me into someone I could live with, and someone she would never underestimate again. The moment arrived faster than I expected. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, heart hammering. Every detail carefully curated. Every confession undeniable. Every secret she thought safe, now poised to surface. I whispered to myself, "This is it." She once said see it coming. Rashid was in the kitchen, making tea. "You sure about this?" he asked, his voice hesitant, wary. I looked at him, calm on the outside, fire inside. "Absolutely, she humiliated me. She stole my privacy. This isn't cruel. It's such." His hands trembled slightly as he poured the tea. I don't want anyone getting hurt more than they already have." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "She steps already hurt everyone she steps touched. Rashid, I steplum just returning the favor." He swallowed hard, eyes searching mine. "Okay, if you sure." I nodded. That was all the permission I needed. I clicked. Posted. The notifications exploded immediately. My phone buzzed like a warning siren. I watched the screen, heart steady, breathing slow. Comments flooded in, some shocked, some outraged, some whispering what they'd never dare say aloud. And then I saw her, Ayesha, across the room, her phone in hand, scrolling. Her expression changed. First confusion, then disbelief. Her lips trembled, her eyes widened, darting from the screen to family members' faces. "Wait, no, this can't be real," she muttered. I leaned back, folding my arms, calm, watching, savoring. Rashid's footsteps were quick, tense. He grabbed her wrist, peering at the screen. "Aisha, what?" His voice cracked, confusion, hurt, disbelief, all tangled into one. She tried to snatch the phone back. "It's steps not true. Stop looking." I raised an eyebrow. "Not true? Every word is exactly what you said. Every little brag, every insecurity, everything you thought was private." Her face flushed, anger and panic colliding. You can stat. This is legally?" I said softly, voice almost teasing. "Maybe not. Morally?" I smiled faintly. "You lost that the moment you posted my diary." Family members were murmuring. Aunt Shireen gasped. Uncle Imran leaned forward. Cousins whispered, glances darting between us. Some were shocked, some outraged. The chaos was palpable. Rashid pulled me aside, voice low. "I didn't know you were going this far." "I didn't plan to go far," I said. "I planned to be precise. Enough to show the truth, and reclaim what she took from me." He ran a hand through his hair. "It's Sep's working, she Sep's broken, and everyone Sep's seeing it." I let a small, cold smile slip. That's all I needed. The shift. The realization that I was no longer the victim, that the balance of power had changed. Ayesha's mask shattered right in front of me. Every carefully crafted smile, every posture of control, gone, in its place, raw panic, embarrassment, shame. You can't do this, she shouted, voice cracking. Watch me, I said softly. Calm, measured. She tried to appeal to family. Please, it steps private, don't steps private. Don't steps private. Murmurs rose. Is this true? Aunt Shireen asked, voice tight with shock. I know it seps hard to believe, I said, keeping my tone steady, but it seps exactly what she said, exactly what she hid from everyone. Rashid looked between us, his face pale. I don't set know who to believe. You can believe me, I said, my eyes locked with his, because I've seft been the one humiliated, the one exposed. And now, the truth is out. Alicia Sepp's hands shook. She looked at family members, pleading, You know I didn't stet mean. Meaning doesn't stet erase the act, I said quietly. You posted my diary. I septum just showing what it feels like. The mirror, Ayesha. That seps all. Her knees buckled slightly, as if she were holding herself together only by sheer force. This isn't set fair. I shook my head. Calm? Fair? Life isn't stet fair, but poetic justice that stets a little different, and right now, it stets in full effect. The extended family whispered, some incredulous, some horrified. A few cousins smirked, realizing the stakes had shifted. The room vibrated with tension. I could feel it. The power dynamic was irreversible. She could no longer strut around, untouchable, her words, her secrets, her vulnerability, all on display. And I stood tall, calm, unshaken. Ayesha turned to me, voice trembling. I can stet believe you. Believe it, I said, soft, final, precise. Rashid exhaled heavily. I don't set even know what to say. Both of you, this is truth, I said simply. Unvarnished, undeniable truth, that seps all this is. She slumped into a chair, silent, face buried in her hands, mask gone, pride shattered, confidence evaporated. I looked around. Family members still whispered, shock mixed with curiosity. Some were sympathetic, some judgmental, but the shift was undeniable. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt free, clean. My dignity returned. I hadn't humiliated her illegally. I hadn't crossed a line I couldn't stand behind. But the impact, devastating. Rashid shook his head, muttering, I can set believe this. I glanced at him, softening just slightly. You still see Rashid, sometimes power isn't set loud, sometimes it sets quiet, and sometimes, the quietest voice has the sharpest edge. Aisha looked up, her eyes wet, cheeks flushed. She couldn't meet mine. She knew the game was over. She had been exposed. The balance shifted. I felt the fire inside me settle into a steady glow, calm, controlled, satisfied. Justice wasn't about revenge alone, it was about reclaiming what I had lost. And tonight, I had done it. Look, I said softly to the room. This isn't just about cruelty. It's just about consequences. You all saw what happened to me. Now you see the other side. Life. It has a way of evening the scales. The chaos rippled through the room, but I remained still, observant, satisfied, stronger. Aisha sat, speechless. Family murmured, Rashid stared, torn between relief, anger, and disbelief. And me, I watched, breathing steadily, heart calm. Because the storm had passed, and for the first time since it began, I felt victorious. She cornered me in the living room later that evening, eyes blazing, the air between us thickened with tension. You, Aisha Sepp's voice shook, breaking halfway through, what did you do? I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, calm. What do you think I did? Her hands trembled. You can that stits. It stits humiliating. Humiliating, I repeated, voice steady, almost soft. You mean the way you humiliated me? Her eyes flickered, darting away for a moment. That was different. You went too far. I took a step closer. Too far? You posted my diary online, my private thoughts, my fears, my secrets. Do you even hear yourself? Aisha Sepp's lips quivered, voice barely a whisper. I didn't set mean to. I didn't set think. Didn't set think? I asked, voice rising slightly. You didn't think that taking everything from me, my privacy, my trust, my dignity, would hurt me, that everyone I loved would see what you steve done. She flinched. I, I just, I didn't stet. I shook my head, exhaling slowly. Let me show you something. I motioned toward the hallway where the extended family had gathered, quietly watching. Rashid stepped forward, voice low. Alicia, look at what's happening. Her gaze followed his, landing on the small crowd. Shock and disbelief crossed her face. Her carefully constructed confidence cracked. They're seeing, she whispered, hands flying to her face. Yes, I said softly. They are seeing, all of it, every secret you thought was safe, every lie you told yourself about who you were, and how you treated me. She staggered back, as if struck. You, how could you? I held my ground, heart steady. How could I? I kept showing you the truth, the reality you created, the cost of your betrayal. You think your words didn't leave scars, that your laughter at my pain went unnoticed. Her eyes welled up. I didn't I never meant. Intent doesn't erase impact, I said, stepping closer, voice low but firm. You took my voice. You exposed me. You thought it was power. You thought it was control, but control has consequences. She sank into a chair, shoulders trembling, eyes darting to Rashid. Rashid, tell her, tell them, please. It wasn't stet. He shook his head, silent, torn between the sister he's always protected and the truth he sees before him. Look at him, I said softly, voice almost a whisper, letting it settle in. Look at the people around you. They see you now, not the image you project, not the smile, the charm, the fake confidence. They see everything. Her hands clutched her hair. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I shook my head slowly, almost pitying. It's never about what you meant. It's about what you did, and now, you see it reflected back at you. The same fear, the same exposure, the same loss. Tears slipped down her cheeks, her anger once sharp and unyielding, dissolved into shame. I watched, silent, letting every second stretch, every heartbeat echo in the room. Do you understand now? I whispered. Do you feel it? That helplessness you gave me, that panic, that humiliation, that fear that your world isn't as perfect as you thought. She nodded, broken. Yes. Good, I said softly. Because now you know, and I hope you never forget it. The cost of betrayal, the weight of taking someone's trust and weaponizing it. Rashid stepped closer, voice tight. Aisha, you can I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, I said, eyes on her. Just understand, that Sep's enough. Aisha Sep's hands shook in her lap. I see it now. I see how much I hurt you. I exhaled, feeling a strange release, as if years of frustration, shame, and fear had been squeezed out in that moment. It's not just about seeing, I said. It's about feeling what it's like to have your world shift under you. Feeling the loss you caused. And hopefully, learning from it. She choked on a sob. I had done deserve forgiveness. I tilted my head, calm, maybe not, but understanding. Understanding is the start. Maybe one day you shall respect it. Maybe one day you shall respect me. Her gaze fell to the floor, body trembling. The room was silent, except for the soft hum of whispered family reactions. I felt a strange calm wash over me. The confrontation had been messy, emotional, cathartic, but finally the weight lifted. I straightened, voice steady. I held this in for too long. Years of doubt, fear, shame, all of it. And now you see it. You know it, and I am free of it. Rashid exhaled slowly, relief and disbelief mixing in his eyes. Ayesha sat, defeated, mask shattered, pride evaporated, forced to face the reality she had created. I stepped back, letting the room breathe. The confrontation had ended, but the impact lingered. Pain, shock, chaos, all of it now real. And I smiled faintly, quiet, cold, deeply satisfying. Years of suppression, humiliation, and betrayal now found their reckoning. She had finally understood. The power was mine again, not just over the situation but over myself. I felt it in my chest, calm, controlled, victorious. Because justice, when done right, didn't need shouting. It didn't need loud declarations. It only needed truth, and the truth had finally landed. The house was quieter now. A different energy lingered, lighter but still charged with what had happened. Aisha avoided my gaze. Whispers stopped. Tension eased. I could feel it in the corners, in the glances that no longer carried fear, judgment, or suspicion. I sat by my window that evening, journal in hand, pen hovering. The page was blank, but my mind wasn't. So much had happened. Pain, betrayal, humiliation. It had all been raw, chaotic, and yet, now it felt like something I could hold, examine, and finally understand. I spoke softly to myself, almost as if narrating a story. Revenge is instead about being cruel. It steps about reclaiming your power, about reminding yourself that no one gets to define your worth. But you? I flipped the page and began writing. My thoughts spilled freely. I am stronger than I realized. I survived humiliation, betrayal, and fear, and I'm still here. A memory surfaced. My diary, stolen and mocked. My trust, trampled. The anger had been like fire consuming me, but it had also been a teacher. Every plan, every observation, every small victory taught me something about myself, about patience, cunning, resilience. A soft knock broke my focus. I looked up. No one entered, just the echo of my own voice in the room. That's when I realized I no longer needed to prove anything, to her, to Rashid, to anyone. My voice, my boundaries, my privacy, they were mine again. I whispered to the empty room. I don't set need their approval anymore. I don't set need anyone to validate my pain. I wits walked through it, and I emerged whole. Memories of confrontation flickered in my mind. Aisha's panic, the tension in Rashid's eyes, the way the family had watched, silent and shocked. I felt the satisfaction again, not from cruelty, but from knowing that truth had landed, justice had been served. I closed my eyes, and now? The question lingered. Not revenge, not anger, not resentment, but what comes after. I opened the journal again, writing this time about growth, boundaries, self-respect. I define my reactions. I choose my words. I choose my silence. I choose peace over chaos. I remembered Sarah's warning, Mom's gentle caution. Their voices had been echoes of reason. And now I understood. Revenge had been necessary. But so was reflection, balance. Understanding that power doesn't only come from exposing someone else, it comes from knowing your own strength, from standing in your own truth. I smiled faintly at the page. I learned more about myself than I ever knew. My limits, my courage, my voice, and I reclaimed all of it. A soft breeze drifted through the window. The night sky stretched above, endless, calm. It was a quiet, empowering peace. No clamor, no chaos, just clarity. I wrote again, my pen moving easily, freely. Being wronged doesn't define me. How I respond does, and I choose strength. I choose dignity. I choose growth. I paused, pen hovering, and for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt it fully. Freedom. Freedom from fear, from shame, from anger. I had faced betrayal, felt the sting, fought back, and emerged intact. Whole, unbroken, resilient. I whispered to myself, a mantra now more than thought. I am my own, my voice, my choices, my life. No one can take that from me again. The night deepened, silence pressed around me, comforting, steady. No notifications, no whispers, no judgments. Just me, just my mind, just my clarity. I reflected on the journey. Every tear shed, every moment of doubt, every sleepless night, it had all built this. Not just the revenge, not just the satisfaction of seeing truth land, but the quiet, unshakable confidence I felt now. I looked at the blank space of the next page and smiled. There's more to write, more to live, more to be. I realized I wasn't running from what happened anymore. I wasn't defined by Aisha's betrayal, or by the diary, or by the whispers and stares. I was defined by how I reclaimed myself. I am stronger, I said softly, aloud this time. I am in control. I am free. I set the pen down, letting the words sink in. The weight lifted. The storm had passed. The house, the family, the chaos, they were still there, but they no longer touched me. I carried only myself, my growth, my clarity. And in that stillness, I finally understood power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's reflection. And sometimes it's knowing that you've won the most important battle of all over yourself. I leaned back, journal closed, eyes on the darkened sky, calm, empowered, unshakable. The fire that had driven me to revenge had transformed into a steady, bright strength. I whispered one last time. I survived, I've grown, and nothing, not betrayal, humiliation, or fear will ever define me again. The room was silent, peace settled in, stronger than any fleeting humiliation, stronger than any anger. I was whole, I was free, I was me. I thought it was over. The diaries posted, the confrontation done, the chaos settled. I felt the calm, that quiet power of having reclaimed myself. But life has a way of reminding you that even when you think the storm has passed, clouds linger. It started with a whispered conversation at family dinner. Someone mentioned a long-forgotten incident, something trivial on the surface, but my ears caught a detail. Aisha, she always struggled with, my cousin's voice trailed off. What do you mean? I asked casually, but my pulse quickened. She was always trying to prove she belonged. Ever since she was little, her parents never really. I froze mid-bite. My mind raced. I knew it, the insecurities, the constant need to manipulate, the endless striving for control, but I'd never understood the why. I excused myself, retreating to the quiet of my room. I couldn't stop the thoughts that poured in. So that's it, that's the root of it all, not just cruelty, not just malice, but fear of being invisible, unworthy. I whispered aloud, as if to process it. She-sup's broken too in ways I never knew. My anger didn't disappear. It didn't dissolve into forgiveness, but it shifted just slightly, enough to let me see the human behind the betrayal. I could still acknowledge the harm, the humiliation, the betrayal, but now I saw context. Depth, complexity. Later I confronted Aisha, not with the fury of before but with quiet observation. Are you okay? I asked softly. She froze. What do you mean? I know more now, I said carefully. About why some of the things you did, your fears, your insecurities. Her eyes widened, confusion and suspicion warring. You know. I know enough, I admitted. It doesn't excuse the betrayal, but it explains it. She looked down, silent. I could see the walls she'd built around herself, strong, defensive, but fragile underneath. I realized in that moment that revenge isn't always black and white. Justice, satisfaction, they're essential. But understanding perspective, that's growth. And I had grown more than I'd anticipated. Do you regret it? I asked quietly. Her voice was almost a whisper. I regret how I handled everything, how I hurt people, how I hurt you. I nodded slowly. I hope you learn from it. I hope you never hurt anyone like that again. But mostly, I hope you understand the consequences of hiding behind fear and cruelty. The room was silent, the weight of shared history and revealed truths pressing down. But for the first time, I didn't feel tension. I didn't feel anger. I felt clarity. That night, I returned to my journal. My pen hovered over the page, but the words came easily. I've seen the worst. I've faced it. I've reclaimed myself. And now I see the complexity of others, too. Revenge is a teacher, yes, but so is understanding. Compassion doesn't erase justice, but it tempers it. It balances it. I paused, watching the moonlight pool across the floor. Shadows stretched, soft and silent. I realized how much I had changed. The fire that once demanded revenge had cooled into quiet strength. I was wiser, more guarded, more centered. Aisha's secrets, her lies, her betrayals, they were still hers. I didn't need to hold them against her anymore. I didn't need to stir chaos. I had my peace, my dignity, my boundaries. And I understood now. Life isn't just a battlefield of wrongs and retaliation. It's also about growth, reflection, and the subtle, unexpected revelations that teach you the most. I whispered to myself, almost in awe, we said are all more complicated than we seem. And that sub's okay, but I choose who controls my story. I choose my growth. I choose myself. The quiet settled in the room, full and complete. No judgments, no anger, no chaos, just reflection, understanding, and a sense of closure that was earned, not given. I closed the journal and leaned back, letting the weight of the past months finally lift. I had walked through betrayal, humiliation, revenge, and revelation, and now I could finally stand unshaken. Because power isn't only in exposing secrets, it's in understanding, surviving, and moving forward wiser than you arrived. And for the first time in a long time, I felt the balance of justice and the calm of personal growth perfectly aligned. I exhaled, peace, quiet, and empowerment. The storm had passed, but I had emerged stronger. I thought it was over. The diaries posted, the confrontation done, the chaos settled. I felt the calm, that quiet power of having reclaimed myself. But life has a way of reminding you that even when you think the storm has passed, clouds linger. It started with a whispered conversation at family dinner. Someone mentioned a long-forgotten incident, something trivial on the surface, but my ears caught a detail. Aisha, she always struggled with. You know, my cousin's voice trailed off. What do you mean? I asked casually, but my pulse quickened. She was always trying to prove she belonged. Ever since she was little, her parents never really. I froze mid-bite. My mind raced. I knew it. The insecurities, the constant need to manipulate, the endless striving for control, but I'd never understood the why. I excused myself, retreating to the quiet of my room. I couldn't stop the thoughts that poured in. So that's it. That's the root of it all. Not just cruelty, not just malice, but fear. Fear of being invisible, unworthy. I whispered aloud, as if to process it. She seps broke in two in ways I never knew. My anger didn't disappear. It didn't dissolve into forgiveness. But it shifted just slightly, enough to let me see the human behind the betrayal. I could still acknowledge the harm, the humiliation, the betrayal, but now I saw context. Depth, complexity. Later I confronted Aisha, not with the fury of before but with quiet observation. Are you okay? I asked softly. She froze. What do you mean? I know more now, I said carefully. About why some of the things you did, your fears, your insecurities. Her eyes widened, confusion and suspicion warring. You know. I know enough, I admitted. It doesn't excuse the betrayal, but it explains it. She looked down, silent. I could see the walls she'd built around herself, strong, defensive, but fragile underneath. I realized, in that moment, that revenge isn't always black and white. Justice, satisfaction, they're essential. But understanding, perspective, that's growth. And I had grown more than I'd anticipated. Do you regret it? I asked quietly. Her voice was almost a whisper. I regret how I handled everything. How I hurt people. How I hurt you. I nodded slowly. I hope you learn from it. I hope you never hurt anyone like that again. But mostly, I hope you understand the consequences of hiding behind fear and cruelty. The room was silent, the weight of shared history and revealed truths pressing down. But for the first time, I didn't feel tension. I didn't feel anger. I felt clarity. That night, I returned to my journal. My pen hovered over the page, but the words came easily. I've seen the worst. I've faced it. I've reclaimed myself. And now, I see the complexity of others too. Revenge is a teacher, yes, but so is understanding. Compassion doesn't erase justice, but it tempers it. It balances it. I paused, watching the moonlight pool across the floor. Shadows stretched, soft and silent. I realized how much I had changed. The fire that once demanded revenge had cooled into quiet strength. I was wiser, more guarded, more centered. Aisha's secrets, her lies, her betrayals, they were still hers. I didn't need to hold them against her anymore. I didn't need to stir chaos. I had my peace, my dignity, my boundaries. And I understood now, life isn't just a battlefield of wrongs and retaliation, it's also about growth, reflection, and the subtle unexpected revelations that teach you the most. I whispered to myself, almost in awe, we such are all more complicated than we seem, and that's such okay. But I choose who controls my story. I choose my growth. I choose myself. The quiet settled in the room, full and complete. No judgments, no anger, no chaos, just reflection, understanding, and a sense of closure that was earned, not given. I closed the journal and leaned back, letting the weight of the past months finally lift. I had walked through betrayal, humiliation, revenge, and revelation. And now I could finally stand unshaken. Because power isn't only in exposing secrets, it's in understanding, surviving, and moving forward wiser than you arrived. And for the first time in a long time, I felt the balance of justice and the calm of personal growth perfectly aligned. I exhaled. Peace, quiet, and empowerment. The storm had passed. But I had emerged, stronger,